Welcome to the collection of the wildest and craziest AITA Reddit stories of all time. From wild betrayals to shocking twists, these tales will leave you questioning who is really in the wrong. Let's dive in together. The first story is from Delicious Leader 7639. AITA for how I reacted when my niece announced she was engaged. I, 33M, have a pretty big age difference with my brother, 44M. He had a child at 25, which means that I became an uncle at 14. Because we were pretty close in age, I formed a special bond with my niece, Ella, now 18F. When she was 16, my brother and his family moved away, so I've been seeing them less recently, but we keep in touch and catch up at family events. Last year, at Christmas, my niece told me that she had a boyfriend and told me a bit about him, but I didn't know the guy. He was invited for Easter and a couple of other events, but was never able to make it. When we were planning our mother's birthday, my brother decided to invite Ella's boyfriend so that we could all meet him. Yesterday was the birthday. I was looking forward to meeting Mark, Ella's boyfriend, but was very confused when I saw her walk in with a man that looked double her age. Spoiler alert, he is. She introduced him to me, and I politely smiled, but was deep down very concerned. I went to my brother to ask how old Mark was, and he told me that Mark is 36, so literally double Ella's age. She had told me that he was a bit older, but I assumed like early to mid-20s, not almost 40. That's when they called us in the living room to share exciting news. Ella showed us a ring and revealed that they were engaged. I just said, "What the f?" And everyone turned around and looked at me like I was crazy. I told them that they were out of their minds if they thought this was normal, that there was no world in which a 30-something should date an 18-year-old, and that she shouldn't be getting married. All of them accused me of ruining Ella's happiness. Some even said that I was jealous of Mark, which is so disgusting I can't even explain it. I mean, I'm younger than Mark, but never in a million years would I ever consider dating someone younger than 25. They told me that it was perfectly legal, as they were both adults, which isn't true because they've been dating for a year, and Ella turned 18 7 months ago, and that if they were happy, that's all that matters. I told them that they were sick for allowing this and that he was a predator, but they wouldn't listen. I know this isn't my business, but I can't help but fear for Ella. She is young and doesn't really know what she's getting into. I'm really scared of her getting married and being unable to leave him when she realizes how sick it was. I then left and slammed the door, and have been receiving pretty wild messages and calls since then. I don't know if I was wrong for this and I'm just overreacting, and if I wasn't wrong, I don't know what I can do to make them realize how wrong it is. AITA? Update 1. If you didn't see my previous post, here's a TLDR. My niece is 18 and getting married with a man who's 36. They started dating when she was 17. When she announced she was engaged, I said that it was wrong that he was so much older than her, but everyone else found it okay. So, I've taken the past 24H to really reflect on all of this. I tried to take in most of the advice in the comments, and here's what I have decided. I don't think that me telling her and everyone that the relationship is weird was wrong. I do, however, think that I did it wrong, and it was pretty harsh because it was in the heat of the moment. But I still find this very creepy, and don't think she should get married. What I've decided to do is apologize to her. I sent her a text saying I was sorry for my outburst and that I should have thought it through beforehand. I told her that I never wanted to make her feel like I didn't want her to be happy, and that I loved her very much and had her best interests in mind. Ask her if we could talk about this. I asked if she would be okay and free to hang out and maybe get coffee this week to talk about all of this with a clear head. I really want to try and get her to see why it's weird, and that maybe marrying him is not a great choice. Explain myself to my brother. I sent him a text saying that I was sorry for the way I said it, but that I still thought that it needed to be said. I explained to him why I think Mark is a predator, and this relationship could have a very negative and damaging impact on Ella. I'm still waiting on their replies. I'll update when they reply, or when I see Ella, if she accepts, depending on how long it would take. In the meantime, I really want to thank everyone who gave me advice and was constructive and really tried to help my niece out of this situation. I also send my best to all of the people in the comments sharing similar stories when they were the teenager getting groomed. I'm so sorry this happened to you, and I really hope you're doing better now. Update 2. TLDR of first posts. My 18 niece is engaged to a 36. She started dating when she was 17. No one in the family sees a problem. I asked to meet her to talk about it. So, following my text, see last post, Ella replied and told me she agreed to meet with me and talk. I just came back from seeing her. Here's how it went. She asked me what I wanted to tell her, and I started explaining that I didn't think her relationship was very healthy, and that no older guy should want to date a teenager. I told her that she was an incredible woman, so I wasn't saying it was weird that someone would want to marry her, but that guys my age normally shouldn't even look at a teenager. She wasn't convinced and said that sometimes it's true, but sometimes it's okay. I asked her how she would feel if I told her that someone born today could be her future partner, and she said it felt really weird. I also asked her if she would consider dating someone younger than 15, and she said no. I could see her starting to realize that Mark maybe didn't have the best intentions. I also asked her if she knew about his previous relationship, and she said vaguely, and just told me the girl's name. I asked her if she knew how old the girl was, and she said she was 21. I also asked her if she knew that their relationships overlapped, and she said that Mark always told her he was single since they met, but she kind of felt like that wasn't true. I told her that since his previous girlfriend was also significantly younger, it seemed like he had a thing for younger girls, which is kind of weird. After discussing that, she told me a bit more about her relationship. She told me she was starting to feel weird about it because of Mark's recent behavior. I asked what she meant, and she said that he had been flirting with a lot of girls who were all also younger, including some of Ella's friends. When she confronted him, he sorts of gaslit her into thinking it wasn't flirting. He was also making a lot of comments about having children with Ella and how cute it would be to see her raise them. She told me she was absolutely not ready for that and also wanted to go to college and work and not be a SAHM. Because of all of that, she was doubting her relationship, and I told her that I understood. She said she was scared of breaking up with him because he had become her whole life recently, and she didn't know what she would do without him. I told her that she was surrounded by people who loved her and would be there for her, and that she was a lot more than just Mark's girlfriend. I said that she knew my opinion on it, but that ultimately the choice was hers, and that I just wanted her to be happy. I also said I would be there for her no matter what. She told me that she will try to break up with him this week, and she'll let me know how it goes. I'll edit this post if I have more info. Also, again, thank you to everyone who gave advice and tried to help us. I really appreciate it. Edit? Okay, so I just want to say, some people in the comments seem to think that this is fake, and you know what? I can understand. And I don't really care. I'm not asking you to believe that my life is real or fake. And it's great that you don't just believe everything you see online. But I just want to say this. There are hundreds of people on here or elsewhere that share similar stories. I'm not really affected by people thinking I'm lying, mainly because I'm not the one in that situation. But some people might be. Some people come on here to share something that might have traumatized them, and the last thing they want is for others to think they're lying. So, if you don't want to believe me, that's fine, but the next time, keep that to yourself. It's fine to not believe something, but you don't have to say it, because it might make other people feel really bad. Comments where OP replied, "No, basically I was telling her that it was weird for him to date her, and she was telling me that she understood that older men dating younger girls can be creepy as a whole, but sometimes it's just because they're in love." Then I talked for a while about how men our age normally perceives 18 as literal children, so they don't go after them unless they're actually okay with dating children. And when I asked her that question, it really hit her, and she admitted that maybe it was actually weird. And then she talked about all the red flags, but it was kind of unrelated. I think it's the addition of both of these things that made her really come to the realization that the relationship was a bit weird. But what I didn't say in the post is, this took a really long time. We talked for over 3 hours, and what I posted is just a really big summary of all we said. I just tried to keep it short, but it wasn't as quick as it seems to be. To explain this in more details, I went through the guy's socials with my friends a few days ago, because we thought there might be other weird things going on, and we ended up finding info about his previous relationship, the one right before Ella. So, Ella told me at Christmas, so December 24th, that they had been dating for a few months. But when we searched his Facebook, we saw a post wishing happy birthday to a girl who he called his baby on December 12th. And this girl appeared in other posts where they were kissing, or he was calling her pet names, so we assumed she was his GF, which Ella confirmed afterwards. And this girl also looked very young. He at one point wrote something about her and said, "As soon as you're done with college," so we knew she was in college. And she looked between 20 and 25. And Ella then confirmed that she was 21. But yeah, basically it seemed like he was still with his ex while dating Ella, so I asked her if she knew about that. I also didn't think she would understand, but I think the many red flags she has been seeing in Mark recently contributed to that a lot. Were you ever loved if you think looking out for your younger relative makes you creepy? Didn't you have family members that were there for you growing up? Yeah, my friends and I are currently going through his socials. We've done Facebook already and found his last ex was around 20 to 24, and their relationship overlapped with his relationship with my niece. We've also made multiple fake accounts on dating apps as 18 to 22-year-old to see if he has a profile on there, and if so, if he would also go for a younger girl. OP is not an AH here because his reaction was genuine given the age gap between his niece and her boyfriend, as well as her boyfriend's predatory history and red flags in their relationship. OP is not an AH because his reaction was immediately justified by his niece. So I would rate OP 0 out of 5 on the AH scale. In this scenario, the real AH is OP's niece's BF for being a predator. So I would give him 3.5 out of 5 scores on the AH scale. Delicious Leader 7639. AITA for bringing up just how much I actually do for our household to my wife. My wife, 41F, and I, 42M, have been married for 15 years. I apparently surprised her by being capable of doing household chores and tasks, which I didn't think much of. My mum always asked me to help out with chores when I was a kid, so I didn't think it was beneath me or anything. I do think I inherited her need to clean excessively, like it's so bad that I can't eat until a mess is dealt with. My mom is an amazing cook, my aunt was a literal chef at a fancy hotel, and my dad loved having barbecues. It was pretty natural to learn from them and pick up a thing or two. The only thing I didn't pick up was how to make a decent cup of tea or coffee. I'm genuinely awful at it. It got to a point where I was handling most of the household chores and taking care of cooking, which I prefer anyways, since she comes home exhausted. I've been asking our children, 11F and 9M, to do some minor tasks around the house and hopefully teach them this sort of thing too. She has a group of friends who hang out regularly. This time it was her turn to host the group at her home. I offered to take our children out for the day, and it was all set. Before we left, I had to finish up some things for work. The office space is practically on top of our living room, so I could hear what they were talking about the entire time. One of the friends asked how she always kept our house so spotless, and my wife just bragged about how she was responsible for it all. Then, they all started talking about their gripes with their marriages. A common theme was how unhelpful their spouses were. I felt pretty uncomfortable, so I just left the office and went out with the kids. I came back after they had left for the night and acted as normal until we got to our bedroom. I asked her what was up with that conversation they had, and pointed out that I did the cooking and cleaning in our marriage. She told me not to take it personally, and that she just wanted to fit in with the struggles of her friends. Now I just feel unappreciated, especially since I don't clearly remember any genuine gratitude for what I do from her. Since then, she's been pretty short with me. She says I'm weaponizing what I'm doing against her and holding it over her head. I don't expect her to compliment me each time I clean or defend me religiously. Just a little, "My husband is pretty helpful actually. He does his share" would be nice. I can't help but feel like her friends think I'm some sort of deadbeat who comes home to relax and neglect her. Update. I'm pretty shocked this post went as viral as it did, and I tried my best to speak to my wife yesterday. I just can't believe that this is the woman I married. I tried speaking with her, telling her that what she did wasn't that big of a deal, but was still not a nice thing to do. She didn't like me bringing it up again and just told me to suck it up and stop bitching about one mistake. She apologized, but in a tone that just sounded like she was just tired of dealing with this. I noticed her getting very heated and on the verge of starting an argument, so I backed off and switched to a different topic. I asked if we could adjust our duties at home to be fairer for both of us, since most of our management fell to me. I mean, pretty much 90% of things like cooking and cleaning, including planning for our date nights or vacations for our family, rely on me. I do think it's an issue that she gets to come home and just tell me that she's tired. Then she got up in my face, telling me I had no right to lecture her about chore duties when I'm practically at home most of the time. She completely refused to hear me out and basically told me that what we have works best for our situation. She threw me in my face that she was the moneymaker and that balanced everything out in the end. Even this morning, she was pretty annoyed with me, coming downstairs in a bad mood. I'm very sure our kids noticed it too, but I drove them to school after they got ready. When I got back, I noticed that my wife left her packed lunch on our kitchen counter. So now I'm sitting here, just feeling like the woman I've known for 15 years hates me. I guess I'll have to push this issue properly even if she gets angry. She's been ignoring my texts and attempts to call her. I can't just let her act like this, especially in front of our children. Update 2. I think I'm just done at this point. I did something I never did before and went into her phone while she slept. We both know each other's passwords, so it wasn't really difficult. Some of the cheating comments got to me, and I felt pretty paranoid about this situation. Instead, I found a group chat with some of her work friends, different from the other friends she had over. It was just nonstop mockery of me and some of the stuff I did for her. She told them how embarrassed she feels to be with me, and that I dote on her like a parent and don't feel like her husband. The lunches I pack for her are humiliating because I add sweets and other treats I know she likes. Some of her coworkers teased her about the snacks I have in for her, and she admitted to just throwing them out at work. She doesn't have any issue eating them at home, but at work, she throws out my baking. She had some choice words to say about me in her chat, some of which I don't have the courage to type out here. One of her meme pictures was of me on my knees scrubbing a bathroom tile, edited to have some sort of dress on like I was some sort of housewife from the 1960s or something. I just closed her phone and left. I confronted her about the chat and the contents of it, which got her panicking. I focused on our kids this morning and left her to her own devices. It's not like she would have appreciated a kid's lunch anyways. Now she's texting me like crazy at the office, but I think I lost all respect for her and what she's become. Not only does she find me overbearing and embarrassing as a husband, but then I find out she mocks me to her friends and exposes some sensitive relationship issues to her group chat. This will probably be the last update, since I don't think she can come back from this. We'd just celebrated our 15th anniversary last month too. I feel like a loser now after seeing what my wife actually thinks of me. Update 3. I know I'm going to get some hate for my decision at the end of this all, but I gave my wife one more chance. She gave me a real apology for her actions and how she treated me about 2 weeks ago. In her own words, she let her friends' comments at work and her best friends affect her too much. My wife wanted to feel included in the groups by playing both sides, one that has a useless husband and one that has a clingy husband. She's not using them as an excuse and did take full responsibility for how poorly she treated me, which is a plus. She suggested some sort of marriage counseling for us and insisted on doing the planning herself to show me she's dead serious on wanting to make this work. She's copied me in her communications with a counselor, but it'll still be a while before our first appointment. She stepped up in the home too, doing more tasks without me asking. The compliments I used to get have also made a return, so I do feel a little more appreciated. My wife promised me that she wouldn't lie to her friend group anymore and give me the credit I deserve. The work friends I don't know about, their opinions on me will forever be as they are, even though she talked to them. Part of this feels disingenuous, since it took us getting into a bad spot for this to happen. Maybe it's just resentment talking. I just hope this works out for our sake and the kids. And no, she has not been cheating or had some guy in her ear telling her things. A lot of DMs are asking about that. Comments where OP has replied, I only have a problem with the work friends, but there's not much I can do. It's not like she can stop communicating with her coworkers or quit her job. We both work. She makes about 100K a year, while I make around 70K. She earns more, but she's definitely not the only income in our household. What makes my job great is that my boss lets me have a lot of flexibility, so I can work from home and take care of the house and kids as long as I give him a heads up. I don't think she could do it, purely because of her job. I've got a lot of flexibility and leeway with my boss. He knows I'm trustworthy. So, he allows me to work from home as long as I give him a head up beforehand. That allows me to do whatever I need to do at home or handle our children. She doesn't have that benefit, and genuinely comes home about 6 to 7 p.m. exhausted. OP is not an AH for standing up to his wife, who belittled his role in handling most household duties. OP has been supportive, and his wife's dismissive behavior is not justified in any way. She behaves entitled and ungrateful. Undervaluing and mocking her partner is extremely insulting. So, OP's wife is an AH here, and I would rate her 3.5 out of 5 on the AH scale. On the other hand, I would rate OP 0 out of 5 on the AH scale. Let's now jump onto the next story from Shark Eva. I've been informed by a solicitor that my husband is having an affair. Yesterday morning, I was contacted by a solicitor. I was confused because I don't have any need for one for anything. She told me that her client is seeking a divorce from his wife due to the wife having an affair. Their investigator found the affair is with my husband, and the client asked the solicitor to inform me since my husband is married. She provided me with proof of the affair. My brother-in-law is to be married on Saturday. My husband is the best man and is already there to assist with everything. Me and my 5-month-old daughter were supposed to leave on Friday morning to join them. My husband is unaware that I know. I am shocked, but the proof is right in front of my eyes. I haven't told anyone, but I have asked me sister to come over after work. I'm going to ask if my daughter and me can stay with her. I don't think I can face him at the wedding. I don't want to hear excuses. My sister's husband is a solicitor, and while he does not do divorces, I'll ask if he can recommend someone. I have to talk to my sister, but I'm mostly just getting my thoughts out on here because I feel entirely scattered. Comments. Mission_definition_1. OP's husband is terrible. The fact that he can help someone, BIL, with their wedding while cheating on his wife is telling of his moral compass. This is my swamparg. You sound like a smart lady. Get a place to stay with your child. Get your ducks in a row and leave him. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Stoic sticks. Plus, be sure to take any important documents with you, birth certificates, social insurance card, passports, etc., and anything especially sentimental that would be hard to replace. Open a bank account at a different bank and move some money over. Update. I told my husband I had been exposed to COVID and could not attend the wedding. My sister helped pack, and she is letting me and my daughter stay with her until I find a flat. Someone I work with has a family member who has one up that I can afford that's available in January. When my husband returned home on the Monday, there was a note telling him I knew about the affair. The husband of the other woman was going to be filing for divorce later that week, and I would not be far behind. My sister's husband is a solicitor, and he recommended a divorce solicitor to me. My husband and I both have jobs. We don't own a home. At the advice of my solicitor, I opened a new bank account for myself, but I did not touch any of our joint accounts. I'm not stopping my husband from seeing our daughter, and my solicitor said the law will favor sharing of custody. Unless it is about our daughter, I told my husband to have his solicitor talk to mine. I won't discuss anything else with him. Once we have been separated for 2 years, we can get a divorce. My solicitor said there is no way to shorten the time requirement. Thank you everyone who showed me kindness. Edit. Yesterday morning I was contacted by a solicitor. I was confused because I don't have any need for one for anything. She told me that her client is seeking a divorce from his wife due to the wife having an affair. Their investigator found the affair is with my husband, and the client asked the solicitor to inform me since my husband is married. She provided me with proof of the affair. My brother-in-law is to be married on Saturday. My husband is the best man and is already there to assist with everything. Me and my 5-month-old daughter were supposed to leave on Friday morning to join them. My husband is unaware that I know. I am shocked, but the proof is right in front of my eyes. I haven't told anyone, but I have asked me sister to come over after work. I'm going to ask if my daughter and me can stay with her. I don't think I can face him at the wedding. I don't want to hear excuses. My sister's husband is a solicitor, and while he does not do divorces, I'll ask if he can recommend someone. I have to talk to my sister, but I'm mostly just getting my thoughts out on here because I feel entirely scattered. Comments. Linny Pixie. I can't imagine being legally tied to your ex for 2 years. Emily the Duck. That law will never not be stupid to me. Like he had the affair, he broke the marriage. Why does law say she has to be tied to him just in case? That's stupid. Medium_classroom2600. Which country hangs divorce for 2 years? Dang, this country should change their law. OP, Ireland. Divorce was not made legal in Ireland until 25 years ago. Before that, divorces were not allowed at all. Until 2019, a couple had to be separated for 4 years, not the 2 years it is now. Medium_classroom2600. Don't you have any strict law for punishing cheaters? OP. Divorce is no fault. It also would not make a difference anyways, as we aren't wealthy, don't own a home or any significant assets, and are both employed. Update 2. Background. My first 2 posts may be found in my post history, however, in summary. My husband had an affair. The other woman was also married. Her husband's solicitor informed me about the affair. I found out right before my husband's brother was to get married. I told everyone I was ill and stayed home. I moved in with my sister while my husband was away at the wedding. Our daughter was 5 months old when I found out about the affair. The update is that I am now divorced. I live in Ireland. It is a requirement that couples live apart for 2 years before they can be divorced. There are no exceptions under the law to this. It used to be 4 years, and up until 1998, divorce was not legal in Ireland at all. My daughter and I lived with my sister for almost 3 months before I moved us into our own flat. My husband and I did not own any property, and I legally had no authority to ask him to leave the flat we had while we were married. So I left instead. On the advice of my solicitor, I opened my own bank account and left our jointly owned accounts alone to be settled in the divorce. While we were living apart, my husband and I used an app to communicate about our daughter, and everything else was through our solicitors. I haven't talked to him about the affair, I haven't talked to his family or friends, and I don't have social media. My husband carried on seeing the other woman for several months after I moved out, so I'm sure everyone knows he had an affair, but that isn't my problem now. The only thing I talk with him about is our daughter and anything relating to her. We have joint custody, and I will pay him maintenance. Fault is not considered in a divorce, and an affair doesn't affect custody. I do not have to pay maintenance to my husband for himself, since he is already living with another woman, not the one he had an affair with, and plans to marry her right away now that we are divorced. If he had been living on his own and not about to get married, I would have had to pay him maintenance. I have never met the woman he had an affair with, or her husband or their children. My focus is on my daughter, and I am civil with her father for her sake. But I don't care about looking on social media or talking to him about the affair. I have never talked to him about it and never will. I only care about my daughter. Apologies if my update isn't exciting. I am divorced, there is no drama, and I know that's usually not exciting, but some people have been messaging asking for an update, and I wanted to say thank you to all the lovely people who offered me support during a terrible time. Comments. Camp 808. Actually, for a boring update, it's basically a very good outcome. He's someone else's problem now, and not having to pay him maintenance above all else is absolutely huge. Congratulations, OP. I hope you continue to heal and surrounded by folks who love you and your daughter. No -- 5200. I remember your story and have thought about you from time to time. You certainly handled everything with grace and dignity. I'm pleased that you and your daughter are doing well. Sounds like you're definitely better off without your ex. He sounds like a real prince. All the best to you going forward. I am not the OP. Please do not harass the OP. This is the best decision OP made after finding her husband was cheating. She is not an AH, gets 0 out of 5 on the AH scale. OP's husband is an AH, the bigger one, so I would rate him 4 out of 5 on the AH scale. Let's now jump onto the last story from scary_listen. _6239. AITA, for not speaking to my brother because he ruined my relationship with my best friend? I, 21F, broke up with my boyfriend a month ago because he was insecure about my best friend, 20M. Eventually, I got tired of it and broke it off. My ex is my brother's, 23M friend. My brother asked why we broke up and I told him. Then he asked if I minded if they stayed friends, and I knew it would hurt him a lot if I said no, so I told him it was not a problem. I've noticed that he has been distant over the past few weeks. Last week, while I was talking to him and our older sister, 25, he seemed to be in his world, preoccupied with his phone. At one point, he made up an excuse about needing to do something in his room, which I realized was a lie. I followed him to his room and confronted him about his distance from me. I expressed my feelings, telling him it hurt that he was keeping his distance. I asked if he was angry with me for breaking up with his friend. He replied that he wasn't angry, that it was our lives, and he didn't care about the situation. He mentioned that he couldn't listen to me complain about my relationships when we both knew the real problem, and he wasn't interested in discussing it while I was in denial. I finally understand what he means. I broke up with my last 2 boyfriends because both had issues with how close I was to my best friend. I have known my best friend since we were 6 years old, and we have always been just friends. I have explained this to my past 2 partners, but they both had problems with our friendship. We had a big fight and didn't speak much for the next few days. I tried to talk to him a couple of times, but every time he kept repeating it and told me that I couldn't understand as I wasn't a man. Eventually, I had enough and told him that I expected better from him, that his way of thinking was and that men and women could just be friends. He told me that if I was so sure, why don't I text him and tell him that I felt lonely and to come over for some Netflix and chill? He reached inside his pocket and took out his keys, and he told me that if he said no, I could have the car. I refused at first, but I couldn't handle the smug smile he had on his face and decided to do it, as I was sure my friend would reject me anyway. So I texted my friend, and to my surprise, he said he would be right over. My brother saw the text and was being his annoying know-it-all self, laughing the whole time. I panicked and told my friend I was tired, and then the next day, I texted him that it was better if we stayed friends. He said he had had feelings for me for a long time, and that he couldn't keep it to himself anymore. He wanted us to try now that my boyfriend was out of the picture, but I only see him as a friend. Now, in 1 month, I have lost my boyfriend, and now, maybe even my best friend. And the worst thing is that maybe my brother was right, that I was the reason my relationships didn't work. But I'm also angry at my brother, and he noticed how distant I've been the last couple of days, and he even told me he did it for my good, and that if he didn't, I would keep letting that guy destroy all my relationships. But I still refuse to talk to him. But I also miss him, and I don't know if he is right, that he was just looking out for me. Edit? I don't know why people keep saying 3 boyfriends. I have only had 2 boyfriends. OP is not the AH because she genuinely believed her friendship with her best friend wouldn't impact her romantic relationships and was trying to maintain boundaries. While her brother forced her to confront a hard truth in an intrusive way, her feelings of betrayal are valid. OP's frustration is understandable, but her brother was also trying to help her see a pattern. So no one is an AH here. What do the Mac Reddit fans think? Is the OP an AH or not? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like the stories I brought you, just hit the like button, share them as much as you can, and don't forget to subscribe to Mac Reddit for a daily dose. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow with some more spicy fries.